we welcome the Lord of the Greens. And that would be one Johnson Wagner, who is out at the 9th. Johnson, there's nothing quite like these upside-down cereal bowls here at Pinehurst number 2.
It is something else out here. A lot of players. It's really busy here this afternoon on the 9th. A lot of guys coming through the golf course. We got someone on the tee, so I'm going to get quickly up here. When you come up to the 9th green, you got to bisect it into 2 greens, the left half and the right half. Got a hole location set up here on the right-hand side. If it just gets slightly off the edge of this green to the right of this pin, it is gone. And every single hole out here has these little chipping areas. And what that does for players is it gives you a plethora of options of how to attack it. I've got a couple clubs out here with me tonight. We're going to go with a lob wedge. We're going to go with an 8-iron. And I think the choice that's going to be the best for me is the putter. And so you can tell there's a bunch of divots out here. Guys have been practicing from this location. It's a pretty good miss. Anywhere up this green, you're chipping back uphill. The only problem is it's into the grain and it's very tight. I've gotten lessons from Joseph Mayo, Scotty Scheffler, Ted Scott, Tyrrell Hatton, all in the last 30 minutes. We'll see if that pays off. 60 degree, really grainy. You've got to have great control of the bounce. And I don't have very good control of the bounce. Thank you, Andrew. See what it's like with an 8-iron here. If this is a little better play, you just chipping a ball, bumping it through Bermuda fairways, it has that first grab where it kind of sticks and pops up. So you've got to be very precise with where you land it and the kind of speed that you have. And not very good. This is the club that I'll be using the rest of the week, a la Martin Keimer. He used it beautifully. Grass is a little bit furrier than it was in 2014. If we don't get any rain, it may dry out a little bit. What I like to do when I'm putting in Bermuda, I like to lean my hands back a little bit, adding a little bit of loft, and it really skips over the ground. I mean, it's no question for me what it's going to be. It's putter all week.
Yeah, hey, Johnson, the golf course is obviously a lot greener than it was in 2014. I don't think there was as much grain that the players had to deal with around the greens, and I feel like, you know, that's mostly what you're dealing with when you're side of these greens. You're dead into the grain. I watch players do what you did today, so don't feel bad trying to hit a lofted wedge into that grain. It gets pretty teethy. I saw players putting it, but it looked to me like it was bouncing the whole way up, so taking a lot of the energy off of it. Might not a 4 or 5-iron be a better choice, because there it's only going to bounce 2 or 3 times before it gets to the green surface?
I just feel like with a 5-iron, 4-iron brandle, it tends to jump off, and that's why I don't particularly like hitting a hybrid or a 3-wood either. I feel like it jumps off the club face. I personally have way more control over the putter, given the length of the club and just my comfort level with this stick. I just feel like a 5-iron, like my 8-iron chip, it just wants to jump and rock it. And that's something, I don't think there's a lot of golf courses that you try that and practice that. So I think for a lot of players, they would have had to have worked on that 5-iron chip coming into the week if that's going to be part of their repertoire.
And Johnson, Brandel mentioned Martin Keimer's putting. 70% is what his up and down percentage was the week that he won. I consider scramble to be a 3-part stat. It's both chipping and putting, but also the position. And Wyndham Clark touched on it. How important this week is positioning the ball off of the green and where you miss it?
It's so true, Paige. I was over on the 2nd green earlier. If you miss that green to the left, you have a chance. If you miss that green to the right, you have no chance. So that's why we're here on this spot on 9, because if it comes off the front or goes over the back of this green, you have virtually no chance to get it up and down. But to any pin on the right side here, this is the spot to be, and that's why we're seeing so many players practice this. Scotty Scheffler came out, had his putter and his wedge, and he sat and hit 5 balls from this location, his 60 degree every time, and just nipped it, skipped it into the hill, and made it look pretty effortless. The thing I like about the putter specifically around Pinehurst is I don't feel like I'm going to make a mess with a putter. I'm going to get it up on the green confidently. Maybe I'll make a few bogeys, but I think my chances of getting it up and down consistently are much better with this club in hand.
Well, let me just ask you about that. Okay, by the time they ring the bell on Thursday, with all of the practice rounds here and everybody pitching and chipping all around the greens, because it's all hands on deck, won't there be a considerable amount of divots or fluffed up turf so that, you're going to hit those when you're putting? Again, just trying to, as we take a look at it there.
Well, I mean, look at it right here. I mean, you could end up right behind this divot that someone didn't step down. Like when I chip here, Brandel, if I chipped and hit a shot, I would totally step that down. Guys aren't doing that today. I'm sure they'll be a little more courteous come tournament time. But yes, it's going to get roughed up. There's a lot of chicken wire out here on the golf course in certain high traffic spots. So I think that is a concern of having a lot of areas like this.
Wags, how's your short game right now? How do you feel about it?
Rich,
it's just Monday.
I feel really bad. I don't feel good. I'm a confident person. I know I'm a good putter. I believe in myself. I'm having a hard time believing in my short game.
Listen, Martin Keimer won by what, 8 around here? I don't think he was known as savvy or anything. So it's a good play. I think you're going to have a great week, Johnson.
4 lessons in the last half hour.
Thank you, Brandon.
This sounds like you in the trailer on your putting stroke, Rich.